The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Brian Maxon, the Director of Sales here at Journyx. Thank you for taking the time to join us here this afternoon for our webinar on achieving project time tracking Nirvana to maximize profitability. We are recording this session, so for any of attendees, we'll be able to email that out to you as well as to anybody who registered and was not able to attend. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Before we jump into showing you how we can achieve project time tracking Nirvana, I want to go ahead and give you a little bit of background about Journyx. We're actually based out of Austin. We've got about 1,200 customers or so spread out all over the world. We've been doing this time tracking thing for a long time now. So over 20 years of helping customers track their project time and expense data and help manage their resources. From a dynamic standpoint, I would say we really own the Microsoft stack. So we integrate with your Microsoft Dynamics, Microsoft Project, Excel, your Exchange calendar, your task list, and even with your Azure and single sign-on. This is just a small sampling of some of our Dynamics customers. Most of these are project-oriented organizations like engineering, defense contract, utility authorities. And again, just a small sampling of some of those customers. So before we jump in, what I really want to cover with you guys first is why it's critical to track your project time. And then we'll get into some of the top challenges and solutions for tracking that time on your projects. So, why is it essential? Why is it critical to driving profitability within your organization? The first sort of critical piece of that is around project cost accounting. So if you're trying to measure your costs on projects, some of the questions that you should be interested on are, what are my projects costing me? And that helps you answer the questions, are my projects staying on budget? And also, how good am I estimating cost and efforts to historical projects so that I can either both compare my actuals to my estimates, but also help me when I'm going to be able to do future projects coming down the pipeline and make sure I'm estimating those accurately as well. The second big component is billing your customers. So you really can't bill your customers for the work that you do without tracking the time that you work on their projects. So that first question is, how many hours can I bill my clients? If I'm working on a fixed price project instead of time and materials, what are my actual efforts compared to my budgeted hours? Am I going over? How close am I getting? And then a lot of your project managers, resource managers are really going to be interested in your different project billable and user billable rate utilization. So that's going to be an important metric that a lot of your managers are going to report back to your leadership team when you're talking about trying to drive profitability of the organization. The third component is around managing your resources. So without tracking your time on projects, it's really tough to be able to determine if you have enough resources working on the project to complete it on time. You can also answer the question, do I have the right resources working on the project? And maybe more importantly, if you've got other projects that are coming down the pipeline, are you able to take those on? How busy are my people? When can we expect to start new projects? Do I have to go outsource to other resources? And being able to track time on your projects is going to help you answer those questions. Lastly, the other main reason that you want to track time on projects is around compliance. So especially if you're talking about government defense contract work that you might be doing, so DCAA compliance, anything working with healthcare, so you're talking about HIPAA. For any of you nonprofits out there, to be able to get certain government grant funding, you have to have the appropriate project time tracking mechanisms in place. And then this is more payroll related, but also for any sort of like ACA compliance for some of the benefits that are provided with that. So while hopefully everybody understands that tracking time on projects is very critical, especially when you're talking about trying to drive profitability for the organization, the reality is that nobody really likes to track their time. So what we'll do now is sort of step through sort of the four main challenges that people experience when trying to track their time, and hopefully provide you with the solution to help solve that problem. So of those top four challenges, probably the most that we hear all the time is trying to get people to fill out their timesheet on time and get that submitted. The second big challenge is fixing bad data and broken timesheets. So getting the data in accurately so that the information is good on the back end. The third is that I'm tracking my time, but it doesn't really integrate with all of my other critical business systems. So I spend a lot of time trying to gather that data, trying to manually enter that data into those business systems, and just waste a lot of time and proves to be pretty inaccurate. And then the fourth thing is that I can't really enter all of my data in one place. So I'm entering some data in one system and other data in another system, and that just doesn't really play well with the user experience. It's also just difficult trying to consolidate all that data into one place for backend reporting and integrating with your other business systems. So if we take those challenges one at a time, the first one being submitting timesheets on time. So some of the critical components here is one, you have to make it easy to do. The second one is you have to help employees understand why it's important to the organization. What's in it for them? Why should they be tracking their time? And then the third thing is really more to provide your administrative staff with tools that they need to sort of chase down those missing timesheets, and then provide managers with some tools to be able to help manage and enforce their employees to follow that process and make sure that that gets done in a timely fashion. So what that solution might look like is, first of all, try to make it easy. Try to eliminate the number of clicks that need to be done. One of those could be, in our Microsoft world, is to integrate your project time tracking solution with other data inputs that you have, like your Exchange calendar or your task lists. So being able to bring in calendar entries and tasks that people are already working on in as suggested time entries is really going to help the user experience, so that the end user, when they're tracking their time, all they really need to do is fill in the gaps with the work that they're already doing and already capturing in the Exchange calendar and task list. The second thing is to provide your employees with multiple ways of entering the data. So a nice simple web interface is one way, but also providing a mobile app. So what a better time to enter your time than if you're in a remote or in an airport. You can enter that in on your mobile app. Or if you're somebody is out there as a field services worker, then you don't have to wait to get back to the office to fill out your timesheet. The third one is more around letting employees know why it's important to track their time. So having open communication with the employee on why time tracking drives the profitability of the organization. So if they understand that tracking time really drives the profitability of the organization, then they're probably going to be more apt to go in there and fill that out on time and make sure that it's accurate. And third, the last bullet there is sort of enabling your administrative staff to be able to collect those timesheets on time. So using email notifications, missing timesheet reports, and then even compliance metrics, so that, again, you can allow your managers to use that information so that they can better manage their employees around this initiative. That second challenge is all about fixing bad data and broken timesheet. So the data that you get on the back end for reporting and for integrating with your other critical business systems is only as good as the data that goes into the system. So bad data in equals bad data out. So you need to provide managers and your accounting or administrative staff an easy way to be able to fix that data. And so that might be allowing them to reject a timesheet back to the end user so they can make that change. It may be allowing people with the appropriate authority level to actually open up a timesheet and make the appropriate changes and resubmit that through the workflow process. May also include giving them the ability to do what we call prior period correction. So if you've got data that's flowing in and out of your other business systems like Dynamics, and you want to be able to do a corrective entry to time entry from a previous period, then it's critical to have that prior period correction feature that's going to allow them to accomplish that goal. So the solution to fixing that bad data entry, first of all, is let's try to capture all the errors on the front end. So within Journyx, we've got a data entry validation rules feature that allows you to build business rules around capturing the data and making sure that it reduces the errors involved with the data entry. Managers and accounting staff can reject broken timesheets either back to the user, or again, they can modify that information themselves. And then people who have the appropriate authority level can go in and fix that bad data either by opening the timesheet or by utilizing prior period correction features that are available within the solution. That third main challenge is that, hey, I'm collecting this data, but I really isn't integrated with all my other critical business systems like your Dynamics solution, your Microsoft project, and things like that. So the first big issue is that your Dynamics solution or Microsoft project, those tend to be the source of all of your sort of business objects, like your projects, your cost categories, your people, all the attributes of those objects. And trying to update that manually in a time tracking solution, whether it be a software or Excel spreadsheets or paper timesheets, is very time consuming and very cumbersome. So being able to pull that data in an automated fashion really saves you a lot of time and effort and really helps with the accuracy of the data. Now, once you've got that information in a solution like Journyx and you're able to capture that data, hopefully accurately, send that through a workflow process for approval, you then have to think about getting that data back out for reporting and for feeding that back into Dynamics and Microsoft Project and Excel and things like that. So it's critical that you have a bi-directional integration with these critical business systems, not only for the time that you save, but also the accuracy of the data that's flowing back and forth between those business applications. Finally, that fourth challenge is that, the solution on that, sorry, is to have, again, this bi-directional integration with your Microsoft Business Solutions. I touched on some of these before, but we're talking about Microsoft Dynamics, Microsoft Project, Excel, but also being able to utilize things like your Power BI for reporting, but also having a really open API. So if there's even some additional business system that you want to integrate with, that Journyx system is going to allow you to do that. So that fourth challenge is I can't track all of my data in one place. So this really comes down to the end user experience. People don't like to enter this data in general. So when you're asking them to enter one type of data, say my project time in one system, and I have to enter in my time off in another system, and maybe even project expenses in another system, it's very cumbersome for the end user. And not only is it difficult to have them enter the data accurately and on time, but then once you have that data in the system, if you're talking about trying to combine data from multiple systems, it's very hard to report on that information. So you spend a lot of time trying to combine all that together, whether it be in Excel spreadsheets or some third-party reporting tool, and that adds a lot of burden to your managerial staff so that they're spending too much time doing administrative work and not the time that you need them to spend on managing their projects. So how do we help solve that problem? The first thing is let's provide one simple solution to enter both project and time off on the same place. So there's no need to be able to reason to enter project time in one place and time off in a different place. It's all time. So let's enter that in one simple user interface. If you need to be able to track project expenses that both count towards the cost of your project and also reimbursable to the employees, it's nice to have both the time and expense tracking data all in that one location. And then on top of that, if you have a solution that can provide some real-time comprehensive reporting, that's going to allow you to pull that data out of one solution, save you all that time and effort trying to pull it together like an Excel, and then just utilizing some of the native reporting features that are available within a solution like Journyx that are both web interface based, also Excel based, really provides managers with the information that they need to manage their projects. So at this point in time, guys, if anybody has any questions, feel free to send them to me. You can see this is my contact information here on the screen, both my telephone number and email address. Happy to answer any questions that anybody has around why it's important to track project time to drive the profitability of the organization. Other than that, guys, I really appreciate you taking the time here this afternoon. And again, if there's anything that we can do to help you guys better understand this topic, we're here to help you. Thanks again, guys, and have a good weekend.